All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak, Wadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders, the great millstone, who teach very well. Why not this truth from and salutation out there to the hopeful elect who continue to push this word in our truth, faith, and sincerity. And also, shalom to all the men, women, and children who sincerely believe upon the words of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. And today, man, just basically getting on a culture of unrighteousness, man. Because that's the culture that Esau gave us in the form of black culture, man. Hoochie mamas, niggas. And at the end of the day, death. That's what this type of culture this push forth, man. You know, and as you can see in the picture, you have a whole bunch of quote-unquote gangsters, a whole bunch of quote-unquote black people coming together under the minister Louis Farrakhan. And the only thing that this guy's ministering is wickedness, man. And inciting our people to be wicked, man. He don't push forth the law. He don't push forth righteousness. The only thing he pushed forth is the agenda of death, man. And again, this is how Esau always worked. You know, he'd get a motivational speaker, a charismatic guy, give him a couple bands, you know, probably send him to school for a little bit. But ultimately, when these people come to, you know, the culture of Israel, guess what they do? They lead them astray. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and start right here in the book of Jeremiah. Because if, Mr. Farrakhan, if he was righteous, he'll be keeping the Day of Atonement. He'll be pushing forth fasting and weeping, you know. He'll be pushing forth the laws. But at the same time, he's coming with a perverse agenda, man. And that's how a lot of Muslims are. You know, a lot of niggas, when they convert to Muslims, they have that itching ear. You know, they want to hear something new. It's similar, but it's something new, though. Or it'd be a nigga in jail who got in trouble. You know, so let's go ahead and get this real quick in the book of Jeremiah 23, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. And how are you destroying these people? You're not warning them about the evils ahead, man. You know, because we already know that the Lord prophesied about lamentations, mourning, and woes. The only time that this guy come around is when it's a presidential election. It's a beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. That's the only time he come on the scene for real, man. The entertainment purposes, man. Not knowing that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai is finna get ready to fuck up the planet Earth and everybody who's in the mindset of this current world, man. You know? And rightfully so. Let's continue on though. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power of Israel against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock. And how have you scattered them, man? By pushing forth these adverse ways. You know? He'll say, yeah, you can commit adultery, you know? You can do this, you can do that. Ultimately, what he wants you to be is further in this system, man. You know, these guys, they don't push forth the advice of life. Again, a lot of these people, they're just nothing but motivational speakers and charismatic guys who will sell up for what? To lead the 2/3 of our people astray. That's why it says, ye have scattered my flock and have driven them away and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. Yes, the evil of your doings, because you're not benefiting the nation. The only thing you're doing is putting the nation further in derision. That's why you can see niggas, they don't dream to be righteous men. You know, niggas don't dream to be holy. The only thing that they dream of now is money, cars, clothes, and hoes, because that's what you introduced unto them, man. You know, and let's say if you do have somebody, a guy like Geno Jennings, man, who claimed to be righteous and he's stealing a little something from the Israelites, guess what? Esau sent him up there too. To do what? To push forth a false doctrine, man. You know? And that's why how we know that we're in the latter days, man. There's a lot of doctrines that's coming up that's contrary unto life. A whole bunch of niggas coming out here saying they the son of men. You know? Niggas coming out here believing in the Muslim doctrine. Niggas asking the Lord where he was at during the times of slavery, not knowing that you deserve those things what happened in slavery, man. And you're going to deserve the things that's going to happen here in these latter days too. And the reason why, you know, is because what? You transgressed against the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. You know, you transgressed against the words of the Heavenly Father, which comes in the form of the prophets, man. You hated the way of righteousness, and you love to go into the way of wickedness. Let's go ahead and get something real quick too. Because again, being a righteous in this society is lame. A woman, she can throw the box at you, and if you don't catch it because she got a man, she'll talk shit about you. You scared? The hell yeah, I'm scared. Because I don't want the Lord to put me to death. Niggas don't have that mindset here in these days, man. Let's go ahead and get this in the book of Isaiah 5 and verse 20. I had a bride say that before, man. But that's how you know it's another reason why these people shall be destroyed, because they wasn't raised in their righteous way. And again, we all come short and fall. We all come short and fall from the glory of the Lord. None of us perfect, but at least it's certain people out here, certain men, women, and children that are trying, which is the 1/3. While 2/3 of our people, which is majority people of the world, majority of the people that's on the world right now, is going to die. And the reason why is because you don't want to go into this righteous state of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You tell a nigga about the new bodies. You tell a nigga about, yeah, man, you're going to be righteous forever. You're going to keep the land Sabbath. You're never going to sin. Nigga don't want to hear about that, man. Nigga want to hear about getting a meal. Nigga want to hear about being famous here in this realm of wickedness. And that's what you want. Let's go ahead and get this during Isaiah 5, and I'm going to start at verse 20. It says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. And that's what they did by pushing forth this black culture, man. Instead of a woman being so pure that her feet is not going to touch the ground, now we have a whole bunch of dirty foot project hoes, man. You have in the ancient world, you have a man of honor, not dwell with another man's wife. But now you have a nigga make a hit record about how he had sex with another man's bride. These are wicked things that's exalted here in this society. And ultimately, you people are going to have to pay for heeding into these things, man. Because it's not like, you have the, I think that's the FCC. The gang that's in control of the television and things like that, where they're not getting on Netflix by pushing gay scenes on every 8 of 10 movies that you come out with. Every 8 of 10 TV shows and movies that you watch is going to be some about the LGBT XYZ agenda that's in it. But if you're in that black culture, guess what you're going to say? As long as they don't bother me. Which shows you how downtrodden and beaten up and defeated our people are mentally. Let's go ahead and continue on. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Yes, because you think you know it all. You think this is the way of life, and ultimately you think God is blessing you because you got a hit record. You think God is blessing you because you got a couple dollars in your pocket. But ask Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's supposed to be a guy that made it here in this society. But this nigga came out and said he's depressed. And the reason why he's depressed because he's not under the vibration of righteousness. The scriptures say when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the reason why black culture and black people are so downtrodden, not even black people, black Latinos and Native Americans are so down trying to beaten up and shriveled up in the spirit is because you're following the ways that's not of life. Ultimately, you're following the ways of Esau. And again, in the eyes of these people in the world, the ways of Esau is cool and right. She was looking at me, Hawk. She got him, man. He wasn't doing it right. That ain't none of your damn business, man. But again, the agenda of this world is do as thou want, and it won't be no consequences. But guess what the consequences is going to be, man? Death, lamentations, mourning, and woes for going against the ways of the Heavenly Father. Let's go on here and get this in Ezekiel 7. This is Ezekiel 7 verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, Thus saith the Lord, power unto the land of Israel. And the end is come upon the four corners of the world. Now, this is a special shout out into the nation of Israel, which is the northern and southern tribe, the black, Latinos, and Native Americans, and even the scattered that's sent out there. It says, an end is coming upon the four corners of the world. You know, it says, now is the end come upon thee, I will send my anger upon thee. So we know that we are in the end of the Lord. He's finna get ready to send his anger. You know? And this anger is not going to be towards the righteous, man. This anger is specifically going to be directed towards the wicked. You know? Let's go ahead and continue on. It says, and will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. You blunt smoking niggas love to rob, love to steal, love to kill. Who did you get that from? Your forefather, your uncle Esau, man. That's why even in the scriptures in the John, the 8th chapter, it says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. Perfect example, this guy NBA young boy. He don't, he's not in the spirit of King David. He is not rapping about righteousness and how the Lord delivered him from these hard scenarios. No. This nigga rapping about killing, stealing, and committing adultery, man. You know, he's not pushing forth life. And the reason why he's not pushing forth life, because Yahweh, by Hashem and Yahushua, got him set up to lead the people astray. And it's working good as hell, man. Niggas are, the damn young boy tickets like a couple $1,000s. It's niggas that's skipping out on rent just to see this nigga, man. And they really make guys like him an idol. So the next generation, of little boys and little girls, that's who they look up unto, man. This is not like in the time of David, man. Back in the ancient world, we used to look up into David and Solomon, because there was an example of what to be. But now the example of what to be is NBA YoungBoy, man. A nigga that's depressed. He's a mo. He's sick in the mind, and ultimately they think that's the way to live life, man. But I wouldn't be surprised if this nigga don't make it to 30, man. And I wouldn't be more surprised. And I wouldn't be more surprised. I would be surprised if this nigga don't get a missile. But let's go ahead and finish this off. It says, in mine I would not spare, neither will I have pity. But I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abomination shall be seen in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. And the abominations being seen in the midst of the nation of Israel is this black culture BS. Because you Latinos, you're a part of it too. It's niggas out here that's so-called Latinos. They like to rap. They like nigga shit too. You know what I'm saying? They commit adultery, and not to go too in it, but they'll even pop their own sister and things if they get too drunk. That's wickedness, man. And again, that's what happens when Esau's in power. There's no standard upon the planet Earth. But we're coming on the planet Earth to push forth this standard. In the midst of an unstandard, in the midst of a wicked situation, a low-life world, we're pushing forth the standard of righteousness, man. Let's go ahead and get this in Ezekiel 9, verse 4. It says, and the Lord said, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And we are those men that sigh and crying for all the wickedness that go on here, man. We trying to push forth the standard here, while everybody else want to go into the standard of death. Another nigga dying and another RIP shirt. Now you smoking. Now it's a pack of weed that's out here. It's the Juka pack. And this nigga Juka died 2 weeks ago, man. That's the cycle of life that these people are living in. When people say, yeah, it's the YNs, it's you old niggas' fault too, man. It's Israel's fault as a whole, in general, man. But it's only a certain select men, women, and children in the midst of the nation of Israel who the Lord is going to keep. It's going to tell you. It says, and to the others he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have pity. So the Lord, he's going to get ready to get down here in these latter days, basically to get down upon the nation, man. Upon all our people. Let's continue on. Slay early, old and young, both maids and little children. Yes, man. So the Lord, he's not going to he's just a little girl, Jesus just a baby. Baby, my ass, the Lord, he's finna get ready to knock off everybody who's against his will. That's why we trying to get right with the Lord now. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Because guess what? Once the bullets start flying and things start getting worse, it's going to be too late then. It's not like you can call a mulligan in the time of Jacob's trouble. Like you can reverse and go back into 2016 and the first time you heard the word, no, it's too late. We're too far and too deep in the game. If you're not listening to the Lord now, you will never listen to him. It's a sign, if you don't know me now, then you will never get to know me, man. Which ultimately you have to know Yahweh Shem Yahushua from the beginning, man. And every time you hear the word, in each lifetime, you're going to return back unto him. But the ones who didn't hear about him, guess what? When that word coming to them, they're going to reject it. And ultimately, what's going to happen? The same thing that happened before. They're going to get put to death, man. Continuing on. It says, and he said, it says, like the old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom else to mark. The man that's pushing forth that standard of righteousness. It says, and begin in my sanctuary. And they began at the ancient men which were before the house. So it's going to be some ancient men that's going to be like, he got the one. He pushed forth their standard. He pushed forth their standard. But this nigga wicked. Nigga been committing adultery since 1969. Favorite song is Mrs. Jones. He's tricking off on his nephew, girlfriend. Niggas like that is going to have to get put down. And also the young niggas, man. And also the old women, and also the young women, man. The kids in the little children, because the way these kids are getting raised now, they don't have no damn manners. They don't say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. They think they're grown. And ultimately, you can blame Esau for that too. They engulfed with social media, engulfed with YouTube, which push forth subliminal messages of wickedness. So yeah, that's why, again, this black culture have to be taken down, and these so-called black leaders have to push forth the righteous way. But the reason why they're not going to push forth the righteous way, because ultimately, you're really not a true leader, man. You the scum of the earth that got into a good position when the scum is in power, man. That's why we're lowly. That's why we glad that we're not on top, man. Because if we was on top, guess what? That means we go wicked, man. We are that poor and righteous man that's ultimately going to save the city through this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Through this standard of righteousness that we're going to push forth throughout the whole world. Because once this kingdom get thrown away with, in the form of the ICBM nuclear missiles in World War III, once the kingdom of heaven be established and the kingdom of heaven be upon earth, guess what? The things that we've been speaking for, the ways of righteousness will be established. Something as simple as the land Sabbath, you will see the difference of the fruit, man. Something as simple as, after you get through popping your wife and you got to take a shower, you're going to see the difference, man. Something as simple as if a bull is a wild bull and keep on, knocking people down and destroying stuff, you got to put him down. That's going to make so much more sense once people get into the kingdom of heaven. It makes sense to us, all sense in the world to us right now, but it's going to make more sense once the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua fully be established upon the planet Earth, right? And, but right now, it's being established in increments, man. That light is popping up here and there in the form of these different camps, which is totally tearing away and knocking down the ways of wickedness. So yeah, I might just pray this video edify when to give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakakodash. I want to give double honors to my apostle, elders, great millstone, and shalom.